everyone, I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
So we just got out of seeing the Power Rangers film for 2017, and this is going to be spoiler-free discussion of the film, and there will be a separate video talking about spoiler-related stuff within the film.
Yes.
Do we want to just lay it out basically what our base opinion overall was?
Yes. I compare this movie in a lot of ways to the first Iron Man movie in that a lot of it is establishing the characters, and the thing you're really there to see, you only get so much of over the course of the entire movie. That's not to say that I wasn't entertained by it. Absolutely, I will admit, this was an entertaining movie. That having been said, I do feel like it was sorely lacking in the Power Ranger department.
Right, in that same kind of regard, I felt like I enjoyed the movie about teenagers and friendship that they were giving me for 80 to 90% of the film. And then that having been said, once we got to the Power Rangers part, which is what I really wanted to see, I felt let down by that. And I felt like they were two totally different movies, and that one movie was only a 15-minute short, and that movie was a bad movie, and that movie was the one I came in wanting to see. Granted, the movie that came before that was 80 to 90% of the movie was like, hey, this is a pretty good movie. It's not what I came to see, but it's kind of okay.
Now, I will give the movie credit where credit is due. The cast, for the most part, does perfectly fine. Dacre Montgomery, Naomi Scott, Becky G, Ludi Lin, RJ Cyler, they are perfectly serviceable in these versions of these characters, I will admit that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I was going to like them going into it, but in the end, I saw that they did develop those characters. They did make me believe in what they were establishing on screen. Bryan Cranston is perfectly fine as Zordon. Elizabeth Banks could have maybe been given a little bit more as Rita. Bill Hader is absolutely fine as Alpha. Beyond that, that's pretty much what you're given throughout the whole movie.
I like those people in those parts. I do not believe that those people become Power Rangers necessarily. I believe their characterizations, and I believe their ties to friendship and how they grow as friends, but no, I can't see that I saw Power Rangers come out of this movie that presented itself in the beginning.
Well, because as far as being a fan goes, watching all the way back from 93 till now, they do manage to mention a lot of the lore, key phrases there, the morphing grid, certain things from later series, which they've kind of already let out on the internet, and things of that nature. And they do kind of sequel bait you at the end of the movie for two very important things. One thing that kind of should have been there early, and one thing that you knew was coming. That having been said, you can tell they did their homework because, yes, Saban was in on this with Lionsgate, and they do make sure to hit those little notes. But the thing about it is they don't feel like they have as much punch as they should have had.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that potentially, if this movie makes the kind of money they're hoping it makes, that a sequel will rectify a lot of these qualms that I have with it. But that remains to be seen for a later movie. For the movie I just got out of, I liked, like you're saying, like two different movies. There's one movie which is very well thought out and surprisingly well done,
Mm-hmm.
but there's other things that I, as a fan, wanted to see that I do think that you get most of it in the commercials and trailers that we've seen leading up to the release today.
Right, I feel as though I wasn't especially treated to anything new when we're talking about Power Rangers. When we're talking about, well, what makes it Power Rangers? What makes it, something sourced from Super Sentai, something that we then just doctored a little bit and called our own and we thought was so very awesome. Now, granted, we got audience cheers and stuff, and the audience cheering, I'm going to throw this out there, I'm going to probably be that person and say that they were cheering because they were baited by the nostalgia, but not necessarily because the nostalgia was always earned. It felt like key lines and phrases were thrown out because, hey, we need to say this so that people remember this is Power Rangers, and when we say that, people are going to be like, yeah, they said or did the thing.
Well, the thing about that is very much that. You can tell they're clapping because they're fans, not necessarily because the movie earned those moments.
Now, mind you, if you really, really enjoyed that, I cannot stress this enough. Every time we say something that I feel like is going to probably be opposing to what a lot of other people are thinking. If we don't like something, but you really liked something, do not let us detract from how much you liked it.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that those people enjoyed it. I did not agree with those people a lot of the time.
Right.
I was glad once I finally saw suits and I finally saw fights, but I really don't think it's much spoiler at all to say that you already saw all of it almost in the trailers and in the commercials, and it's all at the end of the movie. And like, what else can I say? You've pretty much already seen it. I promise you've already pretty much already seen it, and it wasn't enough for me to feel like I paid $10 for Power Rangers.
Right.
I maybe
think,
should have spent $2 on
well,
Power
because I
Rangers.
think of it like this, you know, spending like say $10 on a ticket. I do feel that I was entertained, but I don't feel that I got my money's worth as far as a Power Rangers fan is concerned.
No, I feel like I bought a ticket to a different movie.
Yeah.
Or like, I bought a ticket to Power Rangers and then I walked into another movie on accident, is what it feels like. And that movie was perfectly serviceable, but it wasn't the movie I paid for.
Right, I get that. And again, you know, a lot of people might really like it and really enjoy it. A lot of people are already saying that over on Instagram and Twitter right now. That's perfectly fine. I'm willing to see on certain levels why it was enjoyable for some people on that level. I just don't think it's a perfect film.
No, I absolutely don't either. I can't help but feel like this is gonna be this new franchise that tears at a fandom. It causes a clear rift in a fandom, in the way that Transformers does, and the movie even lets you know that to an extent.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's gonna be people who are really, really into it, and then there's the other people who are like, who will address Transformers, for example, saying, "Oh, I don't touch the Bayformers. I love Transformers, but as a Transformers fan, I don't touch the Bayformers." But then I know people who are Transformers fans
exact opposite.
who are like, "Oh, I'll take anything and everything Transformers. This is part of it. Give it to me." And that is acceptable.
That's perfectly fine.
I don't agree with those people, but they're allowed to like it in that regard. In that same regard, this is about to become a whole bunch of movies. I promise.
There is high possibility that's going to happen.
They're hoping for 6 films. That is the hope out of those studios. So if that happens, you're looking forward to another Transformers set of movies, but based in Power Rangers lore-ish. And I'm sure it's going to continue to spin off in its own direction from there, much like Transformers does. It borrows ideas from pre-existing things and then goes off in its own direction. This is what's already happened in this first film, and I guarantee you will continue to go off into future films.
And I hope it does, because like we were talking with our friend about in the parking lot here after the movie let out, there is room to grow here, and I think it's warranted, much the same as I made that comparison with Iron Man. You know, there's a certain expectation you want. You go to the movie, you want to believe in Tony Stark, but you came to see Iron Man do cool things. Much the same as the sequel did, where you develop on that idea and expand upon it and get more of the cool stuff along with that character development. I do actually hope that another movie will do that. As far as that goes, it's a perfectly serviceable setup, but it may not be the most satisfying setup for a series in this new movie Power Rangers universe.
That's part of what makes me kind of not want to see another one, though, because I felt like once they finally got to the payoff, I felt like the payoff didn't really do its job, and I don't care to see another one, personally.
We'll have
I
to
really
see
don't.
just how the next couple of days tells the story as far as critical acclaim or box office receipts will show. But for what it's worth, it was a packed theater full of fans there who are familiar with the series. They were very much aware when key things were said, and, you know, like you said, they responded to that. Hopefully they can strike a good balance in the future. Here, there wasn't so much of a balance, where at certain points it may have felt just the slightest bit pandering, in one scene in particular, which we won't go into here. Which is why we'll go ahead and do a separate video talking about all of those specific things in the movie that we may have taken issue with.
That's really about all that we can say without spoiling too terribly much, because otherwise I feel like you guys probably already know quite a bit just from trailers and commercials and other advertisements
And
all on their own.
We'll say this much right now. Most likely, if you're watching this, you've already made your decision whether or not you're going to see this movie. Most likely, you've already made your decision whether or not you're going to like this movie. So that having been said, we respect your opinion. We've just stated ours. And that's about as much as we can do, and then just take it from there.
Yeah, exactly. So that having been said, we're going to cut the video here and then move on into our spoiler discussion in a separate video. I hope to see some of you guys over in that one.
Alright, we'll talk to you guys later then.